Hi, my name is Elizabeth, and I'm going to be talking to you guys today about how to survive your nurse residency program. I have been a nurse for about 1.5 years now. I graduated from my nurse residency program about 6 months ago, so I think I have a good idea of how to talk about the hiring process, the graduation, and everything in between. Let's get started. So you made it through nursing school, you graduated, heck, you even passed your NCLEX. Now it's time to actually get a job. Many people have a very good idea of what they want to do once they pass nursing school. Some people go straight to outpatient if they are able. Some people go to offices, but most of us go straight to the hospitals, straight to the bedside. A lot of hospitals are starting to offer something called a nurse residency program. These programs are offered to make it easier and more of a gentler entry into nursing for new grad nurses. A lot of these programs can be competitive, but I'll just go through what I did experience with my program in my state of New Jersey. So I graduated in May of 2022, took my NCLEX in July of 2022, and my program started in August of 2022. I got the confirmation of the interview while I was still at college all the way in Florida, and my hospital is here in New Jersey. Thankfully, they had 3 different interview sessions for this nurses residency program, and I was able to make one of them. The thing they didn't tell me about these interviews is that it is not the regular one person sitting down and being interviewed by maybe 2 or 3 people. Since these hospitals are interviewing such a massive amount of new grad nurses, they had to do something so spectacular and terrifying at the same time. I called it like the Russian roulette of interviews. It was 5 groups of interviewers, all comprised of the managers of each and every floor of this hospital, and you were grouped up with people in your cohort, and you were going round and round to all these tables, being interviewed by each and every single one of these managers for 5 minutes straight. They gave us no warning. You just showed up with hopefully extra resumes, and they threw you in there. So my hospital uses the Vizient nursing residency program for this program. Several hospitals around the United States use it, and I know that my hospital and a few around the area use it as well. The Vizient is an accredited program, and I believe it is state run and has some state mandatory things involved in it. Through this program, we have several mandatory class lectures, mandatory certifications, and then also mandatory rotations to do, and I'll get into that in a second. Once we did get the job, we do go through a few weeks solely of class lecture. It's not necessarily nursing school type. It's a lot more of hospital policy, reviewing the basics, and all the stuff that might have left your brain while studying the NCLEX of just basic nursing, one-on-one things that you gotta know. It was a lot of, as I said, hospital policies on certain things, getting to know the president and CEO of our hospital chain. He did show up. The nursing CNO showed up. A couple of the managers showed up as well. And it was just 2 weeks of didactic. The good thing about those weeks is that they were paid weeks. So we did have to meet the 40 hours a week in the classroom, going through everything that they thought we needed to know before going to the floors. So now, we finally made it. We've made it to rotations. Yay. These rotations are not like clinical though. It is in the same sense, kind of the same thing as in you're going to different floors, but it's not in the way of learning new skills, although you may very well learn new things. These clinical rotations were formulated for you to find the floor you really wanted to go to, if you didn't already. There were several sections of my clinical group. There were the people who really wanted to go to critical care. They had their own little thing going on. The people who really wanted to go to the emergency department, they were their own really little group. And the people who wanted to go to labor and delivery, mother baby, they were their own little group. If you didn't fit into either one of those three groups, rotations were kind of a big deal because you had to find a floor that you really liked and that you thought that you can work on for at least a year before you can switch off. That was policy, 1 year on a floor. The critical care group and the emergency department group were all right, I believe. But I do know that with the labor and delivery group, and I hear that this is like across the board with a lot of hospitals, they don't really take new grads a lot. But at least for my hospital, for my cohort, they only were taking 2. And there were a good chunk of people in this group. So they had to pay attention to the rotations as well, because if they didn't make it, they had to still form a top 3 of floors that they would still want to go to, just in case they didn't make it. During rotations, additionally to that, we're also getting all of our certifications together. Everyone, no matter what, had to get their BLS, their ACLS, and their NIHSS stroke scale, even though not everyone uses that one on the floor. If you are on any of those other 3 courses, you might have to get critical care associated certifications or mother baby pediatrics associated certifications like PALS, etc. But those 3 are the basics that everyone across the board had to get. And there were still classes, dysrhythmia classes, telestrip classes that everyone had to do on top of that. If you were in the critical care or emergency department rotation, you almost had a guaranteed spot in both of those places. As I said, labor and delivery, they were few and far between for those spots. Otherwise, you had to pick another floor. You could wait the whole rotation period, which was about 2 months, and go to all the floors if you would like, see all the departments, and then at the end of that, you had a little paper and you chose your top 10 floors. However, if you made it to a floor where you just really vibed and you liked the people, you liked the manager, you liked what was going on, you can go directly to that manager, speak to your educator in the program, and set it up to where you didn't have to finish all the rotations and just go directly to that floor and skip out on the rest of your rotations. That is what I did. I went to the oncology floor several times. I went once on a follow day where I got to follow a charge nurse, and another on a regular day where I followed a nurse around for the entire day doing meds, etc. And I just really liked the people that were on the floor. I liked how the techs worked with the nurses, how the nurses worked with the techs, liked the manager. And I ended up going to my educator and saying, hey, I would like to leave my rotations and go to this floor, and I was able to do so a good 6 weeks early. Once you're done with rotations, whether you wait it out all the way to the end or you decide to get off early and find a floor that you really like, it's time to get your notebook because you have 3 months of preceptorship. If your nursing school had preceptorship like mine did, it is pretty much the same thing, but instead of graduating nursing school at the end of preceptorship or orientation, I don't know how else you want to call it, you will be a full-fledged new grad nurse on your own. So for the next 3 months, at least that it was for my floor, I was following a nurse, my great preceptor, and she taught me all the ins and outs of being a nurse on that floor. Mostly is trying to get the basics of every day down. Basics of med pass, basics of your sticks. You have to get good with doing med, etc. All the things that you really need, the gritty part of being a nurse, that is what is taught during the orientation time. So now that you're in preceptorship or orientation and done with rounds, The classes that were weekly now turn into monthly, and they will be monthly till graduation. Each month, your course will pick a specific day. You will meet with everyone from your cohort and go over everything you've learned, learn new policies, continue learning skills, etc. This is where we learned about doing wound vac changes. This is where we learned how to do our IV sticks and our blood draws. This is where we got all of our information on doing trach care and suctioning. They still gave us all of these hands-on skills during, before, and even after orientation. It continued on throughout the entire program. On my floor, they did do their best to give you the full 3 months of the orientation. If you didn't feel confident at the end of the 3 months, you were able to request an additional time, and on my floor, they were gracious enough to give a couple people an extra week or 2. And okay, you did 3 months of orientation, 2 months of rotations. That means you've only got, 7 months of work and you can graduate, right? Nope. Of course, it's never that easy with nursing. You have a project to do. In the vizient program, you have a evidence-based practice project presentation to present in order to graduate from their program. They start announcing this very early so you have enough time, and every month you're only required to finish a certain portion of the project. Early on, you start forming your groups, you start getting a topic. Each month it's like one step at a time. It's not even, you have a whole year to make one project that we would have like 2 weeks to do in nursing school. So it's really spaced out. You have enough time to do it. They kind of hype it up a little more than it really was until the actual presentation moment. When it is time to present, and you are going to present, it's in front of all your cohort, and for at least us, it was in front of all of the managers as well. So it was a little more stressful. Everyone goes up there, everyone has their own portion to say, everyone does have to speak, but once it's done, it's done. And then after 1 year of working as a nurse resident, you are completed. Congratulations. After graduation, they do have some things offered as well, even though you're no longer considered a nurse resident. They offer 3 days, one in every 3 months after graduation, where you can follow either a specific person or a specialty that you are interested in, even though you're not on that floor. So if you know of a specialist that works in an outpatient clinic that you might be interested in, you can request to follow them and they will do their best to get you hooked up with that person. If you know of a doctor or of an NP or of an area like IR or MRI that you just have no idea what it's about, or you really want to see more and try to get in there, they can set it up. A lot of people decided to go places and really did find something that they really loved and are actively trying to switch. So that's a cool thing that they do offer as well. The residency program is a nice, slower paced way in getting into it. Doesn't cause as much of the stress that I have seen in a lot of people. And since a lot of the nurses in this hospital have gone through the nurse residency program, they are aware of all the struggles and they are aware of what it entails. So everyone is kind of on the same page and are very helpful with everyone. So yeah, that's really the end of the video. If you want to stick around, subscribe. I'll be making these videos every so often, and see you in the next one.